Welcome back to the deep dive. We've gotten quite a bit of feedback and some great questions about the Student Aid Index, the SAI.
Yeah, definitely a hot topic.
It really is. So today, our mission is simple. Let's try to unpack this SAI, figure out what it is, and really understand what it means for financial aid eligibility when you're looking at colleges.
Absolutely. And it's crucial because, well, for the 2024-2025 AFSA cycle, the old expected family contribution, the EFC, that's gone.
Right, replaced by the SAI.
Exactly, replaced by the SAI. And this isn't just, swapping labels. The SAI is now the number. It's the key figure colleges use to figure out how much financial aid someone might get.
Okay, so let's dive in. How is this SAI actually calculated? What are the main pieces?
Well, fundamentally, it's looking at a mix of things. Your family's financial information, obviously, but also household details. A really big piece of that puzzle is the parent's income. We're talking adjusted gross income, also any untaxed income they might have, plus some specific deductions are factored in. It's basically the income after certain things are taken out, not just the raw number on a paycheck.
Right, right. Adjusted income. And I remember reading somewhere that it's not just the income level itself, but also like the family situation.
That's a super important point, yeah. The formula definitely considers the household size, how many people live there, and critically, it also looks at how many kids from that household are actually in college at the same time.
Ah, okay. So having multiple kids in college simultaneously can still make a difference.
It can influence the calculation, yes.
Yeah.
That simultaneous enrollment is factored into how the parent's contribution part is assessed.
Gotcha. Okay, now, what about the student? If the student is working, earning their own money, how does that fit in?
Ah, yes. The student's income, this is really interesting, actually. Student income gets assessed at a rate that's, well, significantly higher than how parent income is treated.
Higher. Wow.
Yeah, so even if a student has what seems like a pretty modest part-time job, those earnings can bump up the SAI more than you might expect. It's definitely something to be aware of when planning.
That's really good to know. Like summer job earnings could actually have a noticeable impact.
They really could. It might mean thinking about, ways to perhaps reduce that student's taxable income if possible, or just being prepared for maybe a slightly different aid outcome.
Okay, so income is one thing. What about if the student has their own savings account or maybe one of those custodial accounts?
Yep, those count too. The SAI calculation includes the student's personal assets, so
Yeah.
savings, checking, uh, those UTMA or UGMA custodial accounts you mentioned, those are definitely part of the formula.
And how are those treated compared to, say, the parent savings?
Similar to student income, actually, student assets are weighted more heavily in the calculation than parental assets are. It's another key difference.
Okay, more heavily. That seems significant.
Yeah.
So turning to the parent's assets, then I know people always ask about retirement accounts. How do those play in?
Right, retirement savings are a big question. So the good news there is that the value of funds in qualified retirement accounts like 401k IRAs, those aren't directly counted as assets in the SAI formula.
Okay, that's a relief for many, I'm sure.
It is. However, and this is important, if parents take money out of those retirement accounts, those withdrawals generally count as income on the next year's AFSA.
Ah, so the withdrawal itself becomes income, which can then increase the SAI later.
Exactly. It doesn't hit you as an asset, but it can hit you as income down the line. Something to consider for, long-term planning.
Makes sense. And I also heard something about an asset protection allowance based on age.
Yes, that's right. There's an asset protection allowance for parents. Basically, the formula shields a certain amount of the parent's non-retirement assets, and that shielded amount is based on the age of the older parent.
So generally, the older the parent, the more their assets are protected from the calculation.
Generally speaking, yes. The allowance tends to increase with age.
Okay. So if we sort of zoom out now, try and put all these pieces together, what's the main thing people should take away from this for, like planning how to pay for college?
I think the biggest takeaway is that really digging into how this SAI formula works is it's vital. It empowers you to make more informed choices about your college funding strategy.
Because understanding the rules helps you play the game better, essentially.
Precisely. Even seemingly small things, how you position assets, the timing of income, knowing how student earnings are treated, these details can potentially lead to, well, significant differences in the actual financial aid eligibility.
So it really pays to get a handle on this formula.
It absolutely does. It gives you clarity. It helps you approach the whole process with, more purpose and maybe less guesswork.
Okay, so let's quickly recap then. The Student Aid Index, the SAI, is the new core number for federal financial aid. It replaces the EFC, and it looks at both parent and student income and parent and student assets, but it weighs them differently. Student income and assets have a bigger impact per dollar.
That's a perfect summary. Parent income and assets are considered, student income and assets are considered, and the formula treats them with different weights, alongside factors like household size and number in college.
And retirement accounts are generally safe as assets, but withdrawals count as income. Plus, there's that age-based asset protection for parents.
You've got it. Which, leads us to a final thought, maybe something for our listeners to consider.
Yeah.
Given all these different parts of the SAI calculation, what specific areas of your family's financial picture do you think might have the biggest lever effect on your potential aid eligibility? Is it student earnings, maybe parental assets, the number of kids in college? And then what steps could you maybe explore to understand that impact better?
That's a great question to leave people with. Definitely something worth digging into for their own situation.
For sure, it's all about informed planning.